What is going on, Jet fans? Matt O'Leary back with another video. Today, I wanted to talk about a trade that I saw on Bleacher Report to see if it makes sense for the New York Jets. So, one of the biggest talking points this offseason has been Breece Hall and a trade. Should the Jets trade Breece Hall and cash in, or should they keep him? And you've had in this fan base, people who end up on both sides. If people say, well, the Jets are deep at running back and, Braylon Allen's looked better and I think he can handle running back one. And then you have others who are saying, well, Breece Hall is still the most proven back and he's such an important part of the passing attack. The Jets should not trade him. Hell, even Aaron Glenn, the Jets head coach, said he wasn't trading Breece Hall, addressing these rumors that have been circulating.
So listen, we have like 3 good running backs, and I keep saying that. And listen, they all have different skill sets that we're going to utilize. And that does not mean I'm trading Breece. Okay? It's not. So I'm going to say that right now. I just like having 3 good guys.
My stance has been pretty clear. I don't want to trade Breece Hall before the season. Now, if the Jets season doesn't go as they're hoping and they're 2-6 in October, then yeah, maybe that's a different conversation and you could look to move him before the trade deadline. But before the season, there's 2 main reasons why I am not really all that interested in trading Breece Hall. The first is the Jets are going to be such a heavy run team. Don't weaken one of your team's biggest strengths in the running back room. Like, why don't you just use Breece Hall, Braylon Allen, and Isaiah Davis and Justin Fields in the run game, and then also use Breece Hall in the passing game? And number 2 is I don't think you're going to get great value for Breece. Like, the Jets used the 2nd round pick on Breece Hall. You're probably getting a day 3 pick back. And is that enough value to recoup what you would be losing in a player like Breece Hall? Now, Bleacher Report's Mo Moton pitched a trade between the Jets and the Cowboys, and I did think it was interesting to talk through, and it's, I think, pretty close value-wise. The Jets send Breece to Dallas for a 4th round pick and Jalen Tolbert, a wide receiver. A 4th is pretty much on par for what I think you'd be getting back for Breece Hall, but adding in Jalen Tolbert, who projects to be Dallas's wide receiver 3, makes it a little bit more interesting because it kind of helps out both of these teams. Right now, the Jets seem to have a deep running back room. Dallas's running back room isn't very good at all. The Jets are looking for a wide receiver. That's been reported for a little bit now. So it's kind of helps out both sides, although it's making the Jets running back room worse, and it's making Dallas's wide receiver room a little bit worse. Dallas is a little light at wide receiver, though. They're only carrying 5 wide receivers with Lamb, Pickens, Tolbert, Turpin, and Jonathan Mingo, who was recently brought in. I'm not sure if Dallas, who was 3rd in the league in passing attempts from a year ago with a bad running back room in 2025, would be so willing to move off of one of their wide receivers, especially one who is projected to start in 11 personnel as their wide receiver 3. I would expect, Pickens and Tolbert out wide, and then you'd also have CeeDee Lamb were operating out of the slot. Maybe they could move those guys around. But moral of the story, I know that they would be improving their bad running back room by bringing in a player like Breece Hall, but do they feel comfortable enough with the rest of their wide receiver room to do something like this? Guys, real quick, I've partnered with Swivel, a fan engagement platform that curates all my latest content and delivers it straight through a Google Chrome extension. Every time you open a new tab, it turns your browser into a full-on New York Jets content hub with my videos, tweets, Instagrams, TikToks, the whole thing, all your updates on the New York Jets in one spot. It's totally free. It's really easy to set up. I have the link down below in the description. Make sure to add it to your Google browser page so you can get all your New York Jets info all in one spot. Tolbert is coming off of a 49 catch, 610 yard and 7 touchdown season. Honestly, pretty productive year for him on the number of, targets that he received, got in the end zone a good amount. And it would obviously be an upgrade at the Jets wide receiver spot, which is pretty weak right now. Still would imagine that Josh Reynolds projects to be their wide receiver too. One more year Tolbert has on his rookie deal. He was drafted in 2022, a late pick. He wasn't a first round pick, so he doesn't have the 5th year option. He's cheap for one more year and then would obviously need a contract extension after this. As I mentioned, the trade proposal does help out both teams. I don't think it's lopsided value going, in either direction here. But my question still, even if the Jets were to trade Breece Hall and bring in an upgrade at the wide receiver room, would be how many targets is the Jets wide receiver 2 actually going to be getting in this offense? Even without Breece, they would still run the ball a lot with Justin Fields, Braylon Allen, and Isaiah Davis. And number 2, Garrett Wilson, Mason Taylor, and maybe even Braylon Allen getting checkdowns, I would think would have more targets than whoever the Jets wide receiver 2 would end up being, in this case, Tolbert. I would think in the wide receiver 2 probably ends up in 4th in targets in the receiving game. And personally, I'd rather keep the explosive back who is going to, get a lion's share of the carries and will likely be number 2 in targets in the passing game, just because, one, that's how it worked out a year ago. And number 2, they've been using him a ton in training camp. I know we didn't really see it all that much in the preseason on the 3 drives that the Jets starting offense got. But they, throughout camp, really put an emphasis on throwing the ball to Breece Hall. And I do think he is is going to have a big year. Now, he's yet to hit 1,000 rushing yards. And with how much the Jets will spread around the rushing attack, I don't know if he's going to get the number of carries to get over that 1,000-yard threshold, because you got to consider Justin Fields probably going to go for 600-700 yards at least. Braylon Allen, I think, will have a good chunk of rushes as well. But when you factor in him being number 2 in the passing offense, can he give you 950 rushing yards and then like another 500 to 600 receiving yards? That might be more valuable than, sure, an upgrade at wide receiver 2, but someone who at best might be 3rd or 4th in targets. So, and for Tolbert, he would be playing wide receiver 2 on the Jets, but skill set wise, is he really closer to a wide receiver 3? And like I said, likely finish 4th in targets. For me, that's just not really a direction that I think makes a lot of sense. So again, even though I don't think this is a bad trade proposal that was, concocted by Bleacher Report, it's still not really something that I am, all gung-ho about doing. But I wanted to bring it up because I'm curious to see where the fan base is at. I feel like it's been pretty split down the middle on guys who, are interested in trading Breece Hall, want to see the Jets wide receiver room improve. Don't get me wrong, I would love to see the wide receiver room improve, but I'm not necessarily willing to give up Breece Hall in order to do that. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. Once again, I'm Matt O'Leary. Subscribe here if you're new, and I'll catch you next time.